Depending on how you look at it, I have or have not been cheated on, but it feels like someone has twisted a knife into my chest either way. Earlier this year, I met a girl who I became very good friends with over time. She was staying in my country and had a boyfriend, let's call him S, back home. I tried to keep it platonic, but we always had mutual attraction for each other and sexual tension when together alone. She later started dating another guy, L, in our friend group. It wasn't my business, so I didn't pry, but she was cheating on S. She did eventually tell him and broke up with him. With L, she had an ambiguous relationship. I knew she went on dates and kissed other guys at parties. Their relationship was strained. Her and I developed feelings for each other. I admitted I had been in love with her for a while. She broke up with L, and we spent almost all day together in a wild ride of rising emotions, passionate sex, and crying together about how we'll miss each other before her flight back to her home country. We said the words to each other, "I love you." That settled it for me. In the last days, things got so intense we talked about the possibility of marriage and having kids. I cannot stress enough how intensely I was in love with her. I'm in my 30s and have been through several failed relationships, including some serious ones. My mindset about relationships was one of been there, done that. Until her. But I never had a conversation about marriage or I felt this right about it. I never wanted to get married or have kids, but she had to leave. We parted ways with a hope we'll meet somewhere, someday. But we ended up calling each other almost every day for hours. I missed her so much I had booked a flight to see her the week after. It was a gesture to build a foundation for the future we talked about. I was sure of this, and I had never been this sure before. The first week was awesome. Her family was nice to me, and she showed me around her country as I did for her and mine. It seemed like we just picked up where we left off. I felt even more sure. But I realized something was off. She introduced me to people as a friend, despite it being obvious we were more. She tried to avoid it, but I pushed her for the uncomfortable topic of our relationship and boundaries. To my dismay, she didn't consider us to be in a relationship. It was a what the duck moment for sure. Turns out she had slept with L back in my country while we were dating, and she slept with her ex during the time we were apart. I was ducked up, angry, feeling deceived, sad. All the moments, some of the happiest I've had, we shared together seemed like a lie. And I didn't know why I flew halfway across the world to maintain a relationship when there wasn't one in the first place. All of those shared dreams of being together, getting married, having kids, were empty words. Did she even love me? I thought about catching the first plane back home. She explained her perspective. We didn't define our relationship, and she didn't know I was serious about actually flying halfway across the world to make this work. Nobody else has done that for her. Nobody was as crazy or committed. Maybe nobody was as much of a chump. The fact that I wasn't that important compared to her self-interest. The fact that she avoided the conversation about us and telling me what she did when she had so many chances. The fact she wouldn't have been upfront with me on her own volition unless I demanded it out of her. The fact that she would duck other people and turn around to tell me she loves me. The fact she essentially cheated on her ex, with L, and me with both of them. The feeling of being emasculated, of having other men duck the woman I was desperately in love with. The feeling that she had so little regard for my feelings. Also, my fault is not pushing for the conversation about boundaries earlier. This all cut into me. I have my perspective, which and I'm sure most people, even including her, think is more right, but I also understand her point of view. We left it on the note of seeing each other someday, instead of one of making it work. Still, she should have been honest with me about it at least, and we should have had a conversation about our relationship. Or she should have let me go completely instead of calling me every day and telling me that she loves me and playing along with the idea of me visiting her. She was sorry. She begged me to stay. She cried. After a numerous, exhaustive series of long conversations, we decided to become official and stay together. But I was still hurt and sad. I became depressed. I was still madly in love with her, but my feelings weren't the same. I was angry and I lashed out and told her everything that was wrong with her. To her credit, she took it well. She admitted her wrongdoings and explored the reasons for her behavior and how not to repeat the same mistakes. She was always nice to me and treated me well when we were together. I put down strict boundaries out of respect for me and to help me heal if we were going to do this. One of them was cutting all contact with her ex. She agreed at first. Things got better and went to crap again when she had to meet her ex to organize the stuff they co-owned together and say a final goodbye. I couldn't accept it, but she said she had to do it. It hurt that she would do this even knowing how hard it was for me. Even though I know they couldn't have done anything sexually, one condition was that her mom is there with her. But she admitted to me she was still in love with her ex and she was working to get over it and to build her love for me. It sucked, but I had to come to accept that. Now I'm back in my country, and she is in hers getting ready to move out to another country for work. The idea is that I'm going to follow her so I can be with her. She says she is sure about us and that she wants to be with me, but we have a lot of hurdles to overcome. I will always be in fear that she will stray, and I sometimes find myself doubting her feelings for me. Because of my financial situation, I am not sure when exactly I can go to where she is, so there will be a period of time we will be apart. Despite her assurances, I am much more insecure. My trust hasn't been built up fully, and the fact that she is still in love with her ex cuts into me deep. I'm making some changes in my life so I can be with her, and there seems to be red flags all over. Is this a case of infidelity? Can this work out? Am I making it a bigger deal than it has to be? Or am I an absolute idiot for trying to make this work? Update. She told me about this a month ago when I asked her. I have been in emotional turmoil since then, but she expressed regret and vowed to work on herself and change. She begged me to stay, and I told her that I am in a lot of pain and that my trust in her is completely broken, so we have to work this through. That entails having to endure the fact that I will express my sorrow and pain from time to time. Many conversations about what happened and about our relationship so we can make sense of it all. Us getting therapy and establishing clear boundaries for the future so I can feel safe to rebuild trust. Most of my friends who I have told this to have said this, and I'm sure most of you will say I should ditch her. But the thing is, when I am with her, I am happy and feel loved. She treats me very well and has been trying to be understanding. She showed me an effort to make me feel safe. But of course, it hasn't been perfect, and I feel she isn't giving it as much as she could. She's very socially confident and outgoing, but she feels she lacks empathy compared to most women I've met. And she is selfish, so she has trouble seeing things from others' perspectives, namely my perspective. The numerous conversations about what happened and my pain has been a heavy burden for her, and I found her shutting down during these conversations. And she also seems to not understand how much she has truly hurt me and how she needs to change her behavior with other men in order to make me feel safe. We have a big hurdle in front of us now where we are in two different countries. Not only are we healing from infidelity, but also we are now long distance. She just arrived to work at a big event and is excited for the new experience and to meet new people. The plan is for me to go there to be with her as soon as possible. Yesterday she called to tell me about her day, and she mentioned some of the people she met, including a guy who's a dancer. She loves dancing. She told him she and I would like to go to some parties when I arrive and that he can join us. Cool. But then she mentioned that they talked about practicing together so she isn't rusty before I arrive. She's in a rather conservative country with strict COVID restrictions, so they wouldn't be able to do it in a park or something. They would have to book a private studio, expensive, or go to each other's apartments. Would I be okay with it? Alarm bells rang in my head. Of course I said no. She didn't see the big deal. She didn't see the big deal with going to the apartment of a guy she just met so they could dance together. He knows about me, she said. I couldn't tell if she was really that naive. This isn't something you do when you're in a relationship, much less one that is healing from her infidelity. She said that she feels like I'm controlling her and that she needs my permission for everything. I told her if she didn't do what she did, it wouldn't have to be this way. She's the one who drove me to this. She's agreed to this deal. We ended the call with her saying she doesn't want to do anything that makes me uncomfortable, but we will talk about it more tomorrow. She kept mentioning how it's late and she's tired and she has to work like it's my fault for expressing my concerns. My trust slowly rebuilds, and she says or does things that threaten to collapse it. What worries me is that she doesn't really seem to get it. Despite absolutely gutting me with her actions, she seems to act like it's in the past now and we don't really need to address it. She's the one who begged me to stay and vowed to work on herself to be a better partner, but she's underestimating how much work this will take and thinks we can just go back to normal. How do I make her understand? We've reached the end of the story. Let's try to listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. She has no remorse, no empathy for you. Her only concern is feeding her need for male attention. She will just keep pushing your boundaries, especially in a long distance relationship. You know what you need to do. Comment 2. Buddy, you rely on her to be happy? You screwed up already. Don't depend on her to be happy. While you're with her, now that you know what she did, you'll only keep questioning your trust for her. Get out of that toxic relationship now and rebuild yourself again alone. You gotta be stronger than that. It sucks, but eventually you'll get there. Comment 3. You asked the wrong question. How can I understand that I don't have a good future with her? That is the right question. History is already repeating itself with you in the role of S. My opinion is that it would be good to take care of your life and not waste time with her. Save yourself from future